So when I was making my water, sometimes the tea kettle handle's hot, sometimes it isn't. Today I grabbed it, I could do it no problem. It's always the same temperature, but I'm not always the same person. Sometimes it's too hot to grab. So I can feel the fire within me is strong right now. We just had the Virgo new moon. Moon is at the anaretic degree of Virgo, coming into the Libra point here, opposing the Alpha Omega. It's opposing the Omega point right now of 29 Pisces. That's what I call it anyway. Doesn't mean that it's so, it's just how I sense it. So I'm here to thrive, not survive. The language of my relationship to reality has been one of adversity, one of you're either for me or you're against me, essentially, which is a very basic operating system. I was programmed through the pain, and that's how I've come to understand life. But I know that isn't how life is, it's just how I experience it, and I'm trying to rewrite that experience. So how do you thrive in the world without becoming what it is? Because I don't really resonate with what it takes to be part of this system, part of this consensus reality. How do you weaponize love instead of hate? Ignorance and intent, these are two mechanisms that we fall into. We can do good or bad through those expressions, through those ways of being. Most people are programmed by the pain, they're just ignorant of it, and they are weaponized against themselves and against each other. I've been there. But how do you rise up in this world without becoming what it is? How do you become what it could be? That's what I'm trying to figure out. And it just so happens that it probably coincides with my own journey, my own process. And I feel it probably does for each and every individual on Earth. So we had the Virgo full moon, or new moon, I mean. The next full moon will be in the first decan of Aries. Interesting. We've had a few of these mutable to cardinal dynamics. In fact, we had the eclipse, the last eclipse was a Taurus solar eclipse followed by it was a Aries solar eclipse followed by a Taurus full moon. So we're coming in now, and that was at the end of Aries. Now at the beginning of Aries, we have a full moon with that new moon in Virgo. So we've got this working process here through the impetus of self-realization through the pain that we've been programmed in with Chiron here. Learning our own value, our own emotional authority. In the world over here, our systems are helping us to understand what that is. And we're becoming aware of our abilities to create in all that energy, chaos, confusion, order. All right, so new moons, starting something fresh or revamping something. So if you've ever studied mantras, things like that, there are these seed sounds. I forget what they call them. But every mantra, it derives from a seed sound. It's kind of like words, if you study etymology. Any system, it starts simple and then it starts to get more complex. So there are also exercises, postures, things you can do to, as a seed expression, to cultivate different characteristics of your spirit, elements of your fire. So here's a good one. I'm going to show you something I do sometimes. And it's from the I Ching. Actually, it's from Taoism. And I learned Taoism through studying Stephen T. Chang's materials. There are many heretical expressions, but his is the one I think resonates best with me. I feel resonates best with me. And he gives me a lot of good words to allow my brain to settle into what he says is a good truth. Now, his family has a storied history, or so he says, with the leadership in ancient China. They were doctors for the royal families. He said for a long, long time, I don't know what dynasty it began. But here's a bakwa. It's an octagon. Now, a lot of the bakwas, they've got heaven here is north. But actually, heaven is northwest, according to the ancient heretical Taoist sages. It's good to be able to see all potentials and find which one resonates with you, and this one resonates with me most. And this one right here, I forget the name of it, but this is water. This is the sign of discipline. So there's 8 directions here: north, northeast, east, southeast, south, southwest, west, northwest. Each direction has an energetic flow, and you can channel that through different exercises. And these directional exercises are ones to cultivate the seed of what that is. So here's one for discipline. If you're trying to start a new thing or get on track, this is a good exercise for you. I don't do these often, but when I feel called to, then I do it. Alright, so figure out where north is for you. North for me is right here. If you've got bad knees or hips, adjust the depth and how wide you spread your legs. But essentially I go about, put my hands like this, my elbows, that's where my feet go. And then I squat down with my knees, try and keep my back straight. I'm facing north. And now you imagine you've got a bow, and you aim it. So you breathe and release. And you do this as many times as feels good to you. I generally do 9 sets of 9 if I'm in the zone. But the most important thing is consistency. So do it when you feel called to do it. But try and do it frequently. The more you find you do it when you do it that way, the more you can gauge your actual natural entrainment to the change. A lot of times we get caught in the mind, we set schedules, And we lose touch with the spirit of what it is we're doing because we've relegated it to the brain, to the system. But if you just allow it to be, you do it when you feel called, you can easily gauge how that is maturing through you, through your expression, how you're becoming in tune with it, because you'll find yourself doing it more and more. So that's one thing you can do. So find north, do the water exercise, or the northern exercise, and see how the results are for you. The world's about to get even more crazy. We're going to be tested here. I try not to pay attention because I don't want to be possessed by that. It takes your emotional currency and it uses it to fund its demise, essentially. It feeds hubris. So I'm trying to live in the moment and allow myself to flow into reality. I'm just looking for interesting alignments. Vesta is trining Ceres here, and Saturn. There's this grand water trine. Passion of, it's a Virgoan archetype with Vesta. So it's like the emotional richness of your passion that you have not been able to share. You haven't been able to find a place for it in this world. If you honor that, you are given harvest here in Scorpio. North node of Chiron is at 2 degrees Scorpio, which is trining Saturn down here to Pisces. So it's linked to Mars and Venus here. Mars will be coming into a transformative quincunx with retrograde Jupiter here soon. When Mars trines Saturn, we may realize the gifts of our effort. We may realize the power we hold in relation to ourselves in this world, essentially. But it's through following your passion that will feed this drive. And it's not through understanding it in the mind, but through feeling into it and allowing that to mature the mind into an awareness that you can structure in reality. All right, that's all I wanted to say. So thanks for watching, listening, and being.